A business is unpredictable, but with the right insurance, you can face the unexpected with confidence. At Northwest Insurance Agency, we protect what matters most: your people, your property, and your future. Whether it's liability, property, or workers' comp, we tailor coverage to fit your business needs. Because when you're covered, you can focus on what really matters: growing your business. Call us today for a free quote at 1-855-887-5656 or visit us at nwagencies.com. Northwest Insurance Agency, protection that works as hard as you do.
This is the On the Pony Express podcast, part of the On3 network. Check out all the SMU coverage you need at ontheponyexpress.com. Now, here's your host, Billy Embody.
1, 2, 3, let me go.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the On the Pony Express podcast presented by our friend Mark Villasana at Northwest Insurance Agency. Just had a little late lunch with him on Thursday. Great time talking about the future. We've got some big things planned around the start of the season. Want to do a fun event, so be on the lookout for that at ontheponyexpress.com. But make sure you give Mark a call about your insurance rates. They're ridiculous right now. 214-352-5656. We really appreciate him sponsoring the On the Pony Express podcast, and email him info@nwagencies.com. And also check out his new podcast, Beyond the Policies, dipping into the podcast space. Excited to join him when we're back from a little family vacation here in May. So all good things on that front, and also all good things on this Good Friday for SMU as they get a big transfer commitment. UCLA starting running back, the leading rusher for the Bruins of the 2024 season, TJ Harden, announced that he has committed to SMU. TJ has 1 year of eligibility remaining, from what I understand, and he's going to be headed to SMU. And that is big news for the Mustangs because, look, this is a player that can come in at 6'2", 220 pounds and be what LJ Johnson was kind of expected to be and maybe wanted to be in a bigger role. Whereas TJ is okay with having the role that SMU is envisioning for him, which is being the big, powerful option for this 2025 season. And SMU also has the speed with Chris Johnson Jr. and Derek McFall. And then you have D'Amico Green, who comes in this summer, who is going to eventually be that big, powerful back, combination of the size and the speed of the four-star prospect from Conroe, Texas. But TJ Harden comes to SMU after having 827 yards and 8 touchdowns during the 2023 season. That's when he split time in the backfield with Carson Snead. But last year, he had 506 yards, 2 touchdowns. Again, that was tops on the team in 2024 for the Bruins. And he's actually from LA. He's coming out to SMU. Kyle Cooper, the running backs coach for SMU, gets somebody on board here pretty quickly. And he was on campus for a visit. If you were at ontheponyexpress.com, you knew that he was on campus on Thursday, and they quickly sealed this thing up. So a big, big addition for SMU. And we'll talk more about what that means. But I do want to remind you guys as well that we're also presented by StatusJet, statusjet.com. Make sure you reach out to David Henry and his team because they have some big things in the works for you guys when it comes to summer travel, whether it be big planes, small planes, even helicopter trips. They can handle all of that and making sure it is an incredible vacation for you, or work trip as well. So you've got that option when you mention ontheponyexpress.com. Of course, you get the discount on the round trip flight. There's no membership required, which I think is the big selling point for a lot of people. You don't have to get locked in by putting $1 million on a credit line or something like that. You can do this bit by bit with friends, family, and work colleagues. So check out statusjet.com. Appreciate all they do for us at ontheponyexpress.com. This pickup for SMU with TJ Harden is really important because what it allows SMU to do here is it allows them to have somebody who's proven, who wants to come in and be the main big battering option and be able to come into this program, and he's going to get some NIL. There's no doubt about that, but be the only option that is proven when it comes to being the bigger back for SMU. And that's something they really feel like they still need, because also SMU could very well be playing in a lot of 12, 13 personnel this year. I mean, you've got RJ Maryland, you've got Matthew Hibner, you've got Stone Eby. There could be some really fun, heavy packages that SMU can have out there. And TJ Harden has that ability to run between the tackles. He actually averaged 9 yards a catch as well. So he brings a little bit of something in the catching, in the passing game as well. But, TJ Harden is somebody that is going to get into the school this summer. He's got to graduate from UCLA. So that's also a piece here where most schools, and I believe TJ Harden was in the portal in December, but most schools are going to want you to come in January, be ready to go, get with the team in the spring, and then ride it out in the summer and get into fall camp. Where SMU's luxury here is that they do have Derek McFall. They do have Chris Johnson Jr. They do have D'Amico Green coming in this summer. And so they have 3 guys that they really, really like, so they can be patient. And they can bring somebody in who is going to be a veteran and understand what SMU needs from him and bring a great work ethic, really good attitude, just good team guy, and kind of bridge that gap to what D'Amico Green will eventually be. And D'Amico Green, make no mistake about it, I mean, he's going to play, I think. He's 4-star prospect. He's highly thought of. He's got the combination of size and speed. Kyle Cooper and the staff are really, really high on what he can bring to the table. But you still have to have maybe a little bit of grace for him while he adjusts to the college game. TJ Harden allows him to kind of take those key steps along the way because he does arrive in the summer as well. So there's going to be a little bit of that learning curve for D'Amico Green. But, the cool thing about this podcast too is that TJ Harden obviously committed on Friday. Well, on Thursday, I was the only media member that was at SMU's media availability. So they've shut down the actual practice side of things. They are kind of trying to monitor the amount of stuff that gets out. And during this time of the portal, I get that. But what we also got was we got Kyle Cooper and Chris Johnson Jr. talking a little SMU running backs. And then, of course, Kyle Cooper is also the special teams coach. So we talked with him about that. So we'll have that chat for you guys. I just asked SMU PR. I said, hey, guys, Chris Smith and everybody in there. I said, you guys mind if I just kind of film this as a stand-up interview for the pod? And they said, sure, go for it. So we'll have that interview for you guys here a little bit later on in the pod, which will be a lot of fun. But we'll get to that in a moment. But I did want to focus in here on the running backs, and then we'll touch on a transfer departure, and then we'll get to the interviews with Kyle Cooper and Chris Johnson. We'll get you out of here. But SMU's running back room has a really impressive amount of speed at the top. The guys that are expected to be the 1 and 2, Chris Johnson Jr., Derek McFall. And TJ Harden is going to come in and compete. And that's all that he was promised. He's not being promised a starting job. He's not being promised this, promised that, because SMU is really confident in what Chris Johnson Jr. and Derek McFall can bring. They love what they've brought to the table. They just needed another body. They needed somebody with a little bit of size to them, and they needed somebody who's probably a 1-year option, because you don't want Derek McFall to leave. You don't want D'Amico Green to leave. You don't want those guys to say, well, what the heck? Like, I just got recruited over. Those guys will still play. And the cool thing about Chris Johnson Jr. that I think he can do, and Derek McFall for that matter, they can both play a little slot too. And I'm not saying don't get going here. I'm not saying they're moving to the slot. I'm not trying to create, full-blown controversy around their positions, but they can catch the ball that well. So that is an option for them to maybe we could see some 22 personnel for SMU. I actually want to ask Rhett Lashley this at some point, just kind of in like a shooting the breeze type of interview style, or maybe even off the record, just say, hey, have you guys ever played around with some 22 personnel? Because you look at the backfield SMU has had the last couple of years with all of the options. Maybe there was something there. I don't know. But the cool thing about Chris Johnson Jr., Derek McFall, they're both comfortable receivers catching the ball, especially Derek McFall played it in high school. So there are many ways that SMU is going to have to get those guys on the field. And also, the thing that I touched on on theponyexpress.com in a piece this morning, SMU is in the market for a slot receiver. I don't think I think the spring showed that they probably need to go out and see if they can get one. And the intriguing aspect of all of that is that those guys do have that opportunity to maybe slither in some slot time here and there. So they can get on the field more, and then that allows TJ Harden to get on the field and do all of those things. So a really interesting piece. But I go back to the 12 and 13 personnel comment. Matthew Hibner, RJ Maryland, those guys can also play in the slot a little bit. So there's going to be mismatches. I think this offense is going to maybe look personnel-wise probably a little different than what they had last year. Obviously, you had Roger Daniels, who was spectacular, Brashard Smith on another level at running back. And then you return, in my opinion, really the top two. Keyshawn was great. Mucci was great. Don't get me wrong. And then, of course, Roderick and Jake were in the slot. But outside, you get the two kind of Mucci was fast, Keyshawn was freaky, but I really think Jordan Hudson's probably the best receiver on this team, was the best out of those four on the outside, and then Romello Brinson, who made some nice plays in spring. So you get those guys, RJ Maryland, Matthew Hibner, you can kind of mess around with them a little bit and move them out to the slot. You can maybe finally interchange like a Jordan Hudson and Romello Brinson, start them out in the slot, do different things that SMU hasn't necessarily done because they've had guys like Roderick and they've had guys like Jake and things like that. And they hadn't had Matthew Hibner emerge yet when RJ Maryland went down. So now that they kind of know what they know, I still think it's going to look a little different. I don't think the offense is going to be different, but the true personnel on the field is going to look differently when you have two tight ends that are really good, and you have outside receivers that you like, and you have a running back room that, I mean, speed-wise is pretty elite. So big pickup for SMU, TJ Harden. They get him without much fanfare. He signed as well on the visit, so he'll be here later this summer. Again, he'll have to graduate from UCLA. He'll have 1 year remaining. Exciting pickup for SMU. Big news there. And before we get to our interview with Kyle Cooper and then Chris Johnson Jr., I do want to remind you guys as well about our friends at the Thomas Auto Group. Make sure you head up 75 McKinney, Ford, Subaru, and Volkswagen dealerships. Learn about the Thomas Promise. Get employee pricing on new or pre-owned vehicles. And make sure you support the SMU-owned dealerships that they have. Brandon Thomas, Subaru, Volkswagen, and then you've got Bob Thomas Ford. So we appreciate the Thomas Auto Group for all they do for us at On the Pony Express. I know I'm going to be needing to get my car in there, a little fresh tune-up before some summer travel as well. So hope you guys really support them. They've been great to us as well. So, all right, we're going to do this. We're going to jump to the Kyle Cooper interview and the Chris Johnson Jr. interview. So make sure you guys enjoy those. Those are, I think they turned out great. So hope you guys enjoy those. And then we'll come back and we'll talk about some portal departures. I think there were departures for SMU, what it means. And we'll do that. We'll wrap up the show. So appreciate you guys for listening. We'll catch you guys after this quick break as we visit with Kyle Cooper, SMU running backs coach. Well, happy to be joined now by SMU running backs coach and special teams coordinator Kyle Cooper. Coop, thanks for doing this.
No problem.
Of course, you're in the thick of it with spring ball right now. The portal is open, so it's wild times for the coaching staff, I'm sure. But your group right now, two guys, Chris Johnson Jr., Derek McFall. What have you seen from them in spring so far?
Yeah, I think as a staff and myself, looking at those guys coming in the spring, kind of seeing how they would acclimate and give the role of taking that room and kind of leading it right now. Been really, really impressed with both of them. Not to say they're super similar, but they both have a similar type of skill set. They can both catch the ball out of the backfield. They're both really fast kids, quick, elusive, and so just testing them, giving them a lot of work, seeing and testing their toughness, and they've passed every test. I mean, they've not just me, but collectively the offensive staff's been real pleased with those two guys for sure.
They both have a lot of speed. What are the other aspects of their game that excite you guys in that offensive staff room? Because we've seen glimpses of the big play potential.
Yeah, just the ability to make people miss, getting more than the offensive line creates for them. Speed is one thing, but can you make if you got a safety in the hole, like can you gain extra yards from that safety? And I've seen them both have the ability to do that, and they both can catch the ball in the backfield. That's another big piece of what we like to do. And the toughness piece of that in protection. Obviously, you don't want those guys protecting every single pass rep, but when they need to, they got to be able to do that, and they've shown that they've been able to do that. And they're great kids to be around. They're hungry to learn.
What have you seen from Chris Johnson away from the football field as far as his preparation since he's been here only a couple months?
You got to think, man. We take the human element out of this, but this is a kid that has never moved away from South Florida, and it's the first time doing that. First time moving away from family. He's a home kid. He's a really tight family down in Broward County, and so when you get him here in Dallas, and it's a totally different environment. He's now living fully on his own. My job before football gets into the fold is growing him as a person and a man, and making sure he's paying rent, making sure his bills are accounted for, and those things that, the fans and us in the building can sometimes miss, that this kid's going through a total different chapter of his life. So he's a great kid. He wants to be good, and we're excited about him.
Derek McFall, on the other hand, has been here, came in, got some burn there at the end of the season after that red shirt was secured. What's his mindset now going into a room where all those vets are out the door, Brashard Smith's out the door? He's got to be feeling like this could be, his time.
Yeah, he does. He sees it. He's smart enough to realize, like, every day when we come to meetings, when he looks around, there's a few of us in there. He knows, and his offseason with Sean Griswold was one of the best on the team. I think Grizz would echo that. So he carried that from the winter into spring practice, and it was almost immediately we were like, okay, it was confirmation of what we thought we were going to get from Derek, and he's going to have a big year. We're excited about him.
When you look at the room and you have Dramico coming in this this summer, do you loosely have a plan to add some more?
Yes.
Yeah, running backs. Yes. Three's kind of tough. It's one of those you don't want to necessarily talk about it, but 3 running backs is kind of tough.
We're being active right now. I think that goes without being said. You saw LJ hit the portal and Jalen Rooster hit the portal. Those guys looking for different opportunities, and we're happy for those guys. But we're active. We're trying to go get 1 and potentially 2 backs. Think we do good in that department. I don't want to speak too much on it. Yeah, but we're excited.
And the state of the union on special teams. Do you have kind of update? Obviously you got Colin back. You brought in a long snapper as well in Morgan. You have Jackson Waller who just left. Special teams, returners, all those things.
I'll give it a little bit. So really excited about Morgan Trebet, our new long snapper. I think he's an elite guy. He's got 3 years. I think he's a potential NFL long snapper one day. He's a guy who just all about the craft, which you have to be there. Obviously, Colin returning off a big year. I expect another great year from him. And then as of right now, Wade McSparron is our punter. And we'll bring in someone to compete with him with Jackson Waller hitting the portal. So that's kind of it. We got so really excited about Sam Keltner's future as a kicker. He's pushing Colin all the way. So excited.
Returners. You lose Brashard, who really didn't get much time to prove it at kick return, which was what he was brought there to do. Yeah. But now you have 2 holes with Roderick gone as well. So who are all the options there?
Could come from the running back room between Derek and Chris. They've both taken punt return reps. You got a guy like Dalen Singleton at punt return. You got Jalen Cooper, who's been back there. Jordan Hudson's capable of catching punts. We are going to find that guy. It'll probably be through fall camp and when we have our full roster here. But really, really comfortable on one of those guys leading the way on kickoff as well. So we'll see what transpires here in the next few weeks in the portal, and then kind of take those 2 position competitions into June and July.
What have you seen from Kevin this spring?
Yeah, Derek's done a great job continuing to grow Kevin, and you see the leadership continuing to grow. This time last year, he wasn't able to really have that voice that he has now, and so just coming into his own, and he's done great. You can't speak any more highly of a guy who's trying to lead and is leading, and the guys they just rally around him.
And the offensive line, from your guys' position, what does that group look like? As they've got some pieces that are back and some people, that are settled in roles, but also a lot of competition across.
Yeah, definitely a lot of competition. They're playing at a high level. Coach De'Aaron Justice has done a great job bringing a couple of pieces in. That's a position group we feel good about, especially when you look across our league. Really excited about Addison Nichols at center. Provides a big guy that can do a lot of different things. And then, you got the veteran presence of Logan Parr and on Savion and PJ, those guys working through it. And then you just think collectively, you want to have 8 to 10 guys that can go in the game. And I think we're building that through right now.
Offensively, we'll kind of end on this. The overall group, having Kevin back, having him entrenched as a starter, this spring, as far as developing that year 2 of him as a starter, how much is that really been on track for you guys, and how much have you been excited about what you've seen with that group?
Yeah, I think spring is all about building and building a lot of reps into our base offense. Let's get the foundation set. Let's see and really see what Kevin's good at, and let's continue to just continue to add to that and live in those worlds. And I think what we've done the first 10 practices have been in that bubble to where we can continue to grow that and just feed him confidence, feed our group confidence. And then there's a ton of chemistry, continue to grow that into June and have momentum going into August.
That chemistry comment brought up one more question for you. The coaching staff,
Yeah.
everybody back, of course some support staff here and there, GAs move on to other opportunities, but to have the entire group back, what does that say about the group that coach has assembled, and then also just how much does that help?
Oh, it's tremendous. The meetings can be shorter. Our staff meetings can be shorter. Everyone knows we're on the same page, and we really, I think our players feel this, what I'm about to say. We really do enjoy being around each other. We really like each other, and our players, like I said, they feed off that, and it speaks a lot to Coach Lashley. It speaks a lot to what he's doing, and people we want to work for him, and he provides us. A leader that is willing and able to put us in the right position and get everyone rowing the same way.
All right, Kyle Cooper, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks.
The road is part of who we are. From Dallas traffic to Hill Country back roads, you need coverage that keeps up. At Northwest Insurance Agency, we're proud to serve Texans with the best home, auto, and business insurance paired with honest rates, real protection, and local agents who understand life around here. Call us for a quote at 1-855-887-5656 or visit us at nwagencies.com.
All right, that was fun talking with Coop. He's always such a great interview, really enthusiastic, passionate. He's just a really happy human. So always good to catch up with Coop. And he's got kind of the opposite end of the spectrum in his running back room, where Chris Johnson Jr., kind of quiet kid, first time, like Kyle Cooper mentioned, outside of Broward County, down there in Miami. So he's adjusting. But I can tell you, watching spring ball, what we were able to, really, really explosive back. He made some plays that speed-wise are right up there with some of the better ones that I've seen since I've been covering SMU. So lots of excitement around Chris Johnson Jr. Still has some developing to do, but he's really also matured and gotten a little bit more comfortable. I talked to him literally on day one as he arrived at SMU, and he was very, very quiet. He opened up a little bit more as this interview went on, but now we throw it to our interview with SMU running back Chris Johnson Jr. Well, excited to be joined now by Miami transfer running back Chris Johnson Jr. You've been at SMU now a few months. How's the adjustment been for you over here in Texas so far?
The adjustment been good. Just getting acclimated with the team and the coaches. Getting in the playbook and learning the plays. It's been a little rough, but I'm getting there as I go. So, but things been going good for the most part, though.
What's been maybe the toughest adjustment for you so far?
I'll say the signals, with the plays, just having to keep looking back to the sideline, at the signal board and stuff like that. That's not something I'm used to, so that's really one of my biggest pet peeves right now, trying to get good at.
The tempo of this offense, you got, of course, the winter workouts to get ready for it, but what's it like in practice, keeping up with that tempo?
I mean, from the first day to now, it's a big transition. The first day, it was I was tired because that's not what I was doing at my previous school. So that's just something I had to lock in on and get right at.
Does it help having some guys who have been at Miami and made this transition to SMU before, and you can kind of see the success, or rely on somebody like a Romello to bounce things off of as you make the adjustment?
Yeah, most definitely. Melo pushed me a lot. Adam Moore, he another person from Miami. Rashad, I talked to him, we very close. So I just learned a lot from those guys, with the system here.
What is that like, having Brashard Smith to kind of talk to, and a guy who is maybe underutilized at Miami come here, have success? You're looking to do kind of similar things in that regard.
Brashard, I kind of knew that he was gonna come here and do what he did. We both was in the same boat, just not getting the opportunity that we deserve. So coming here with a chip on my shoulder, knowing that I got a chance here to do something special. So that's a big thing for me.
Speaking of special, your speed that you bring to the table, when did you know that you were that guy, that type of speed that you bring that to not only the football field, but you had an accomplished track run as well?
I mean, I've been running track since I was like 5 years old, so I always had speed, but it just grows. Like as you get older, like you just keep working at it, and then one day you'll be you'll be where you want to be at.
What's the balance of having that type of speed, but that patience that is needed to be successful in the run game as well?
Like I just try to slow my game down. Like even though I got like good speed, that is not always about the speed. Like you got to know how to have tempo and know how to read, and things like that. So like that's big for me too, because like my speed it's like sometimes I can't control it. So I have to keep working like on my tempo, like slowing things down and seeing it.
What's Coach Cooper and Coach Foster been like helping you kind of, one, pick up the offense, of course, but also all of the different things that they're going to ask of you in this offense?
They just want me to just be me, like just be consistent, just come in every day, give my best, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come in, I'm going to get on what I got every day.
And the competition, between you and Derek McFall, what's that been like? It's literally been you two out there. I'm sure the load on your shoulders has been there, but you guys both kind of have that speed, but also a little bit of differences in your game as well.
Derek, he good. Like he a good football player. He got speed. Like we kind of like similar. He's a younger guy. Like so, I learned from him, and he learned from me. Like we just try to help each other out any way that we can.
What's Kevin like, being able to be there in the backfield with him, and obviously a guy who's coming back with a lot of, praise around him and what he's been able to put together so far here?
In the backfield with Kevin, it's like great. Like he knows everything. Like I can learn a lot from him. Like Coach Coop be saying like not to look at Kev for the plays and stuff. Like try to learn it on our own, but still be looking at him like because he the quarterback, so. He know everything.
Just the offensive line, what have you seen from them running behind them and working with them on pass pro a little bit as well?
The offensive line looking good right now. Like with the ones and the twos, like everybody knows what their job is. Like they got good size, so I think the line will be pretty good.
What's next for you this summer? What are you already planning on working on and just kind of fine tuning ahead of fall camp now?
I plan on working on everything that I'm messing up on right now. Whatever creases I got, like that I need to work on, like screws, like that's what I'm gonna really work on this summer, like getting better at those things going into the season.
All right, lastly, what do you like to do outside of football? What's kind of the day-to-day away from it? Try to, put it aside for a little bit.
Try to take care of my body as much as I can. Watch film, or I'd be at home, like probably chilling or something.
All right, Chris Johnson Jr., thanks for doing this, man. We appreciate it.
The On the Pony Express podcast is presented by our friends at Manny's Tex-Mex, 4 locations across DFW. And guess what? When you say queso, queso, they say thank you for getting your 10% off discount. And they love it when you're sitting there having a meal with them at Manny's. It's a really great family atmosphere. You can have a great margarita, fresh ingredients on your food, great lunch specials. You can have it all at Manny's. And when you say queso, queso, you get 10% off your order. So it's dine-in or carry-out only, excludes alcohol because of laws and also the third-party delivery apps. But when you dine in or do carry-out, make sure you say queso, queso. And we're looking forward to a huge event on Cinco de Mayo too. So stay tuned for more on that at Manny's Tex-Mex. So whether it be Saxe, Heath, right there, Coit and Campbell, just south of Plano and Richardson, or on Mockingbird at their Lakewood location. It's always a great time at Manny's. Make sure you check them out. Manny's Tex-Mex. All right, welcome back to the On the Pony Express podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed those interviews. Want to do a lot more of those in the summer and kind of grab guys here and there for the pod. So looking forward to doing some more of that, and hope you guys enjoyed those conversations. As we wrap up the show, do want to remind you guys about a couple of portal departures here that have come as of late. We broke down all the ones kind of earlier this week, and those were for the most part expected. But Jalen Knighton, the SMU running back, did formally enter the portal on Wednesday, as did Ashton Cozart. And then Mike Johan Sanjo Njiki, veteran defensive lineman who has 1 year left, former junior college player who ended up getting snaps for SMU,
And he, I believe, got hurt last year or got hurt in the spring and missed most of the year, something like that. If I've got my seasons right, and returned to get some snaps, played against Virginia, got a couple snaps in some other late in the season games. And so SMU does lose a piece of depth. One thing I've learned about the portal, I think this is intriguing, kind of nationwide, is you're seeing some players with 1 year who are probably third, fourth on the depth chart. And this will make sense as well when we talk about one other player here, but they're behind the depth chart, right? Like Mike Johan Sanjojigi, awesome kid. Seemed like Kevin Allen was passing him maybe. And so that's and maybe we did talk about him earlier this week, but Kevin Allen was kind of making the push. And sorry if I kind of think now I'm repeating myself, but this is something that I'm seeing as a trend. Guys that are third, fourth, fifth on the depth chart with 1 year left, even though they might play a bunch on special teams, they might see some snaps. They are leaving and they are looking for their opportunity. I mean, LJ Johnson did it. Some of these other guys are in different boats. Some guys are super young in their careers. A couple guys are late in their careers and need a place to go and play. But Mike, I think, is one of those key guys that would have been nice to have. But SMU's got to now go out and probably go try to find somebody out of the transfer portal and go see what you can do in that regard. So it's going to be really interesting to see what they do at the defensive tackle position. And Mike was a really good Mustang. So I'm going to miss him. I didn't really interact with him too much, but everything at practice, it just seemed like he was a good culture guy, really, really worked hard at it. And obviously battled back from an injury as well to get back on the field. So best of luck to him. But that's what you're kind of seeing. And I think the next player that this makes a lot of sense with as well is SMU defensive back AJ Davis. This is a guy who out of Dallas Skyline gets to go to SMU, kind of not a big recruiting win, but I think it was one of the first recruiting wins for Ricky Hundley when he got to SMU. And there were moments where you were ready for him to break out and you thought, okay, this is it. This is the moment that you're going to see AJ Davis step up in this spring or make a move in this fall and kind of emerge. And he played down the stretch of maybe his true freshman year. I think I have that right. And it just seemed like he was really building up a lot of momentum early in his career. And then from there, it just kind of plateaued for whatever reason. Like he got better and there were moments, again, flashes where you thought, okay, maybe this is it. And he played a ton on special teams for SMU. I mean, that neck injury was scary. And last season, I think that was the Pitt game. And that was kind of an underrated loss for SMU, kind of depth wise there. And I think he ended up returning late in the season, but one of those things where you've been here now 3 seasons and you haven't broken through. Speedy Nettles is kind of nipping on your heels, probably at the point where he's passing you, if not passing you in the fall. And you had Jalen Davis Robinson, Deuce Harmon, and Marcellus Barnes in front of you for sure. So he's going elsewhere. He's going to go somewhere. And I bet you he plays a lot. He's probably going to drop down a level is my guess. But corner is a position where if you're a group of 5, and I mean, SMU's DB is as much as there's been moments and they have had times of breakdowns and things like that. I mean, they're still pretty well coached, and especially in the run game, they're not afraid to stick their heads in. So AJ Davis will probably go somewhere and played well. So if I was him, and I have no inside intel because I was kind of surprised that he entered, truthfully, but if I was betting, I would say Texas State, UTSA, those seemed like just perfect spots for him to go and play and help them win. So and there's some Dallas flavor on those staffs and some Texas ties, of course, and things like that. And they're in the state. So if I was him, that's probably where I'd be looking if I didn't know where my spot would be, and they'd probably welcome him with open arms. So best of luck to AJ. he was a guy that I was really kind of rooting for. I was kind of hoping that he would emerge just like Isaiah Wacobia and turn into another good skyline player for SMU. So that is it on the SMU football front. It's kind of quiet around the program this weekend as they are not off, but because it is the portal window, but it's Easter, so they're going to enjoy that and then get back at it for the last week of spring ball. So we're going to try to do a podcast on Sunday and kind of set the stage on some things, kind of do some basketball, kind of just brain dump everything else I have before I head out of the country. Dean Rolski, who is our budding superstar at ontheponyexpress.com, is going to have you guys for the rest of the spring ball and then the week after. So he and Hayden Howerton are going to get together for a podcast or two. Then Dean will break down the spring game. He'll break down a big recruiting weekend that SMU has right when I get back. I literally land and we're right back in it with SMU's big official visit weekend. So we'll have articles on the site and things like that. Got a lot of fun stuff planned for you guys. So make sure you head over to ontheponyexpress.com and sign up for $1. And also, again, make sure you support our friend Mark Villasana at Northwest Insurance Agency and give him a call and talk about your insurance policy. You can also email him info@nwagencies.com. Appreciate Status Jet. Appreciate the Thomas Auto Group and all our supporters at ontheponyexpress.com. So hope you guys have a great weekend and a happy Easter. And we will talk to you on Monday, and we'll see if anything else pops off with SMU in the transfer portal between now and then. Keeping a close eye on SMU basketball, so make sure you get over to the site. So hope you guys enjoyed this edition of the On the Pony Express podcast, and we will catch you guys next time and talk to you then. So appreciate all you guys for liking, subscribing, following. Have a great weekend, everyone. Catch you next time.
Thanks for listening to the On the Pony Express podcast with Billy Embody. Follow us on your socials on X at SMU_on3 and on Instagram at On3SMU. And keep it locked to ontheponyexpress.com for more coverage.